Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, June 30th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, seroundtable.com over the past week. First up, there probably was some pretty significant Google ranking or search algorithm update over the past weekend. So last weekend, we definitely saw some things brewing. We wrote about it on Monday, and then we wrote about it again on Tuesday, when we really thought it was legit, meaning I have enough feedback from the webmaster community to say, yeah, I think there was something that rolled out on June 25th or that weekend. John Mueller didn't really comment about it. He just said, yeah, we're always making changes. And a lot of people actually added their 2 cents about an update happening. There's lots of feedback here, a lot of tools showing the updates, and so forth. We don't have official confirmation from Google yet. I don't know if we ever will get that confirmation, but definitely check your rankings to see if you were impacted by this weekend's update. Google specifically won't confirm, at least they won't confirm it yet. They just say it's from random chatter. But again, we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks as I dig into it. I do hope to actually go ahead and collect enough data. I'm asking people to actually submit data to me. You could just go to rustybrick.com/Barry, use the email form, and send me your site and analytics charts so I can actually see if you were impacted by that. I currently have about, I think, 10 or 15 websites thus far. I really want to get about 50 websites that say they were hurt, show me examples showing their traffic drop around June 25th, and then I hopefully will find a pattern between all those sites that were dropped. So definitely submit it. I don't have to share that information with anybody by default. I will not share that information, so definitely submit it to me. My email address again is barry@rustybrick.com. Talking about updates, Google said this morning, or John Mueller said this morning, that in their point of view, there was no Google Thread update. They don't call it that. It's just Google's constantly making updates, and there was no such thing as a Google Thread update. Of course, it's just semantics. Google confirmed that there was an update around when we called it a Thread update. But again, John Mueller saying we don't have such a thing as called the Google Thread update. Google said if you want to prepare for the mobile first index, the first thing you probably should have looked at if you have a mobile friendly website is to make sure to look at that you're not no indexing that website and you don't have any faulty redirects. Gary from Google said, want to prepare for the mobile first index? Go to your client's mobile sites and look for the no index directives and the N1 redirects, which are faulty redirects. Google has launched a new version of their Test My Site feature, which is basically a tool to see if your site's mobile friendly or to see if your website is fast and so forth. And they actually went ahead and actually added a couple metrics, including how many visitors potentially you could use, so you could lose. So for example, this says my rustybrick.com site is good in load time, it loads in 5 seconds, but I'm losing about 19% of my visitors based on that. It shows me how I compare to my industry. So I'm pretty good compared to the industry as a whole, which is the internet and technology industry. If I speed my site up by 3 seconds, it could go ahead and I could go ahead and speed my site up in 3 seconds by doing a few fixes could reduce my site by 3 seconds. This is the previous version. It just showed mobile friendly score, mobile speed score, and desktop score. Truth is, when I first launched this website, it was like a 99 on both these things. But Google's constantly updating their speed testing tools and trying to make it even more harder, I guess, to make your site friendly, faster. So they're actually doing that. In any event, moving on, definitely take a look at that tool. It does give you a report of what you can actually do to fix things, so that's pretty cool. Google launched their first massive redesign for Google News in 7 years. Last time launched an update for the Google News site, they received huge amounts of complaints. In fact, they received so many complaints 7 years ago when they launched their new design for Google News that they had to actually make some changes based on those user complaints. That being said, there's tons of complaints with this new design. People are used to the old-fashioned Google News. When you update anything that has such a big following, there's going to be massive complaints. And I cover a lot of those complaints on this post, and I have links to a lot more complaints. That thread and that forum is going nuts in the Google News help forum. Big news this week on the industry level was that Google was fined, one of the biggest fines ever, was fined by $2.7 billion by the European Union over anti-competitive search results, specifically that their shopping search results have an unfair advantage against other shopping search engines. and that's not fair. And they fined them $2.7 billion. They have 90 days to make a change. If they don't make a change, they could receive more penalties. And the EU is expected to go ahead and fine Google for Android, for AdSense, and for all these other things in the future. It's a very, very political and controversial topic. I'm not a lawyer. A lot of people are happy about this. A lot of people are sad about this. I think Google will just be fine. I'm not so worried about them. Talking about legal issues, Canada, the Canadian government, the Canadian Supreme Court ruled that Google could be ordered by a lower court in Canada to scrub or remove search results from the index globally. It sounds like a lot of censorship and freedom of speech and stuff like that is being removed, but the U.S. has the right to do that also. The U.S. court could actually force Google to remove stuff globally. The issue is, it's Canada. Google's not a Canadian-based company. They're a U.S.-founded company, and that's, I think, the concern here. But at the same time, the Canadian government said they requiring that. Of course, Google's going to appeal both those things. We'll see what happens. John Mueller said that spammy links, even though your competitors are spamming Google with links and so forth, and you see that happening, and your competitor ranks well, it's not like those links that they're spending all this time spamming and benefiting and creating PBNs and buying links. It might be just a waste of their time. John Mueller said this in a Google Webmaster Help thread. You can take a look at that over there. And again, Google's been saying this for years and years. Google might be going ahead and displaying more featured snippets in other languages. John Mueller said this in a Czech hangout, basically saying that he has nothing to announce, but he basically hinted that Google's going to expand feature snippets in other languages. It's hard to know exactly what that means, but it looks like something's coming up with feature snippets. Google seems to be testing a new refinement feature. So it's not so new. I think I've seen this before, where at the bottom of the search results you get these refine features, but it's really detailed, refined by material. So if you search for like furniture, it says wood, plastic, iron materials, brands, refined by types, razor types, and so forth. So it's pretty detailed, and that is going on. Google updated their structured data developer docs, so it's actually vastly updated in terms of the look and what they're writing in here. I'm not going to go through all the details. You can take a look at it. I wrote about it yesterday, June 29th. I linked to Aaron Bradley, who actually went through each document and covered the major changes between those. So definitely take a look at that. Google's John Mueller, I believe, said that Googlers themselves internally within the Google search company have a special form they could use to submit complaints about the search results, and that form gets about 20 to 50 complaints per day, which is pretty significant, and I guess those types of complaints are expedited. And sometimes Google takes manual action to adjust those really bad search results based on those complaints, which is pretty interesting. Google said if you aren't seeing the Google Post feature in the Google My Business console, you can fill out this form. I have a link to it. I wrote about this yesterday. There's a link to the form where you can actually submit and say, Google, hey, why am I not seeing it? And Google will get back to you, hopefully within a few days. Google launched the new AdWords editor, version 12. It's a pretty significant update. There's lots of different changes in here, specifically the ability to manage campaigns at scale, including custom rules, faster account downloads, and a new design refresh of the tool. So definitely take a look at that if you are using the AdWords editor. AdWords is testing a new feature to auto-create AdWords headlines. Some people are seeing this. There's a button in the ad creator tool that says create a second ad with headlines in reverse order. Supposedly it's a very popular feature that people will want because that's what they do a lot with creating and testing ad headlines. Google is testing larger images in the hotel listings. So instead of what they used to show, is like basically these types of thumbnail images, but now they're testing these larger images you can actually scroll through, which is pretty cool. A couple more things. This is pretty funny. A Reddit thread has titled "The Worst Thing About SEO Is," and it goes through all the different things about the worst thing about SEO. So if you want to have some fun and read that thread, I have a link to it on, I think yesterday I posted about it. It's pretty funny to read what people think the worst thing about SEO is. And finally, the big industry news this week is that Danny Sullivan, the founder of the search industry, the father of the search industry, is decided to step away from writing about search on a daily basis. He is pretty much stepping away from the day-to-day role at Search Engine Land, Third Door Media, all the different websites, the conferences, and so forth. He's been doing it for 21 years. He's tired. He wants to do something else, and he definitely has the right to do so. He's been so instrumental to the industry. The industry wouldn't have been here without him. The conferences, everything. I mean, the whole entire industry is pretty much because of this one single person here, which is that significant. Of course, we don't know if somebody else would have stepped up, but at the same time, he did it. He made it happen. He made it happen in the 90s, and we all owe him very much gratitude. I personally started working with him 12 years ago at Search Engine Watch. We shortly moved from Search Engine Watch after that to Search Engine Land, built up those events and conferences. Here's a photo of Danny and I shortly after we started working together. And there's a lot of industry chatter about him moving, about his announcement. It goes on and on and on. I put as much as I could find about that in this single post. If I missed it, yours, definitely let me know on Twitter, and I'll include yours as well. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz Video Recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great weekend. Have a happy July 4th, and I'll see you guys next. Bye.